Good afternoon and welcome to Chicago Humanities and our conversation with Claudia Rankine and Shamel. I'm Philip Bahar, the Executive Director of Chicago Humanities. We're approaching the end of our 35th anniversary season. Thank you very much. Please applaud 35 years of arts and humanities. And this fall has included over 60 events all across Chicago. We still have another full day of programming next Saturday at UChicago, so I hope you can come out to that and stick around for the rest of our programs today. A screening of and conversation on new forms of, oh, I'm sorry. I restart, 1 second. So later on today, we have a screening with Respire Media, talking about local journalism here in Chicago. We have chef and bear actor Maddie Matheson joining us, and the music writing duo Tegan and Sarah. And please do, join us for a few additional events this year. And if you want to become a member and support what we do throughout the year, please join us at chicagohumanities.org. I want to thank our presenting partners, Good Chaos, Friedman Properties, and the Robert R. McCormick Foundation, as well as our fall season sponsors, Wintrust and Southwest. And today's program is also generously underwritten by Allstate and ITW. Now for a few words about our speakers. Claudia Rankine is the author of 6 books, including The White Card, a Play, Citizen and American Lyric, one of the absolute finest books of poetry you'll ever read, and Just Us, an American Conversation, which was the New York Times bestseller and the winner of the National Book Critics Circle Award. She's been celebrated with the Los Angeles Times Book Prize, the Forward Prize, and numerous others, and she is a MacArthur Fellow and the Frederick Eisman Professor of Poetry at Yale. Joining Claudia today is a 2020 Guggenheim and recently minted MacArthur Fellow, Shamel. He is a performance artist, dancer, choreographer, conceptual artist, spoken word artist, and teacher. He received a degree from the Juilliard School and was awarded the Martha Hill Award for Excellence in Dance. Pitts also created the triptych of award-winning multidisciplinary performances known as the Black Series, which have been touring worldwide since 2016. He currently teaches at Juilliard as an artist in residence at Harvard and the founding artistic director of Tribe, a New York-based multidisciplinary arts collective. With that, please welcome Shamel Pitts and Claudia Rankine. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to congratulate this festival. It's as old as I am, 35 years. And if you believe that, I have a car out back I'm selling. Shamel, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too, Claudia.
It's, for me, it's such an honor to be here with you. Congratulations on the MacArthur. Sometimes people get MacArthur's and you don't really know their work, but in your case, it was one of those moments where it just seemed to belong to you because the work is so incredible. If you all have not seen Tribe, his group, find them. Like, get on a plane and find them. It's that good. It's that good. So today, I wanted to start with our collaboration. I met Shamel in 2019, when we were working on a play I'd written called Help. And that play had to do with a certain person coming into power. So hopefully you're all going to vote this week. Yeah, vote. So Shamel, I thought maybe I would start by asking you a little bit about why Tribe is named Tribe.
Wow. am feeling a bit of nervousness and excitement in my body right now because I get to be in conversation publicly with one of my heroes. So thank you for having me. Tribe was formed in 2019, December 11th, mostly out of a listening that I had towards the power of collaboration through art making and world building. I was working as a choreographer and dancer in conversation with a lot of different artists that work with many different mediums of art, like video projection technology, electronic music, scenic design, lighting design. And what I realized in working with these artists was that the work that we created was fully realized and actualized through the totality of all of its parts. So I thought that I wasn't interested in having a dance company, and I wasn't interested in having a dance company called Shamel Pitt's Dance Company. I was like, that's whack. But I was interested in having a name of a collective that encompassed the work that we did collectively.
I read or listened to you speak somewhere, and you said something about Tribe that stuck with me. You said it was a space that cultivated forward. And I loved thinking about Dance Collective also as not just about movement, but it's about sort of world building, space opening, but not for now, for the future, that moved itself into the future. So I'm going to add that to your...
I love that. Yeah.
You said it.
Yeah, it reminds me of Afrofuturism, which Tribe is really inspired by. Afrofuturism to us at Tribe is not connected to a genre or sci-fi. For us, it's more of a proposition and an ethos and philosophy, or even a call to action for artists and people of color to create new stories that bring with it its past, but hopefully shines more luminously towards a brighter future.
And the work definitely does that. It moves you out of the now into another sense, another way of holding time, which is lovely. So we thought since we worked together on Help, we thought we'd show you a little video of what that looked like and then go back to talking a little bit. So let's start that.
Trust is the privilege. The mobility in every step you take is a decision for or against me in the construction of your whiteness.
I'm Claudia Rankine, the writer of Help, premiering at the Shed. Help is a play that engages questions and attitudes around the state of our democracy, given its commitment to anti-Black racism.
The story is told through movement. It's one Black woman on stage with a cast of white ensemble who have their own movement moments that illustrate states of being inside whiteness. What's great about this show is that it's really physically dynamic. It takes a really sober conversation and it takes it out of the world of think piece, it takes it out of the world of polemic.
The play is about the difficulty of having conversations about race. Pretty early on, Claudia and I had a conversation where we were talking about whiteness as the presumption of ownership of space. From that moment on, it became very clear to me that so much of whiteness is about that presumption of space and how Black people are forced to negotiate the very violent space that they take up.
What will surprise audiences is how much movement and dance is inside this production. There's no way to really pull the play apart and leave that movement behind.
To put movement to whiteness is a huge challenge. How does one embody white rage or white fragility or white vulnerability? How is that singular towards this category of people? So it's not like we're dancing through things as much as the dance reveals what we're dealing with and what is there.
I wanted help to be truthful, to not ignore the deaths, not ignore the systematic racism that has affected all our lives.
I feel like theater is oftentimes so behind other mediums in how we talk about things like violence, things like intimacy. And so for me, I think what I'm interested in is hopefully open folks' minds to the political realities that we live in. And for Black folks, I think I just want them to know they're not crazy. That like the sort of reality we live in and we see is like a real one. They are not the only ones seeing it, even if so oftentimes they're the only ones acknowledging it.
There's a lot of talk about race where Black people are the objects and not the subject. And this is a Black mind taking us through a thought process of how to think about race, not only as my Blackness, but as your whiteness.
The people in this play, right? Like the sort of aspirations of empire that you see of like Donald Trump, of all of the folks who are sort of really dedicated to protecting this country, only ends one way, and that way is never good. And so hopefully that they're an understanding that like there is a place beyond this country, there is a place hopefully beyond this world that can be thought of and worked towards.
They're powerful performances. I'm really excited for the audience to see them.
Someone who is not you is incomplete without knowing you.
So that opened in we were trying to figure this out, 2021, and then closed for the pandemic, and then reopened, is that right?
2020,
It closed.
2022, it reopened.
Oh, 2022, it reopened. So while we were working together on that, that's when I had the privilege of working for the first time with Shamel, and it was one of the most relaxed, transformative, trusting relationships I've ever been in. It rivals my marriage. My husband's not here, so I can say what I want. And it had to do with, I work in words, as you know, and the ability to communicate to Shamel, I would like the men to communicate X thing. A word is given to you, and then suddenly they are moving in that world. And I just found that, it was to be outside a discipline and to see to see that discipline work was really magical. And the moment I remember is when I said to you, do you remember this? I said, how would a man of privilege be communicated? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And show them what you did.
Wow. Show them. Yeah, I can say that a lot of the prompts that Claudia gave me through words that I needed to sort of address choreographically, physically, were not easy things to come towards. But in working in Gaga, which is a movement language that I teach and practice every day, this language sort of allows me and the participants to listen to our bodies before we tell it what to do. And then with that listening, I start to sense the connection to my body, the physical sensations that run through it, the limitations, the textures and dynamics, and also meeting effort while still connecting to pleasure, as well as a lot of different things that are multi-layered. So to come towards this sense of embodiment of grandeur through the white body, I asked of these artists, actors, dancers to sort of like grab their muscles, and as they're grabbing their muscles, open their chests and sort of stretch their body parts beyond the edges of their body. And then all of a sudden, this kind of form happens, which is incredibly threatening to me. But that sort of then becomes a way that I get to see that which is always the possibility through the physicality of this prompt.
Should we have another video that, at the time I didn't know it was called Gaga. I just thought it was magic. I thought it was magic. Will it work? Let's see.
My name is Shamel Pitts, and I am the choreographer for Help. The movement and choreography for this work is drawing from a movement language called Gaga. This movement language has a lot to do with listening to our body before we tell it what to do, and allowing for a lot of range of dynamics and textures to come through our body rather than the form in which we put our bodies in. And sometimes the journey is one of subtext choreographically, kind of sharing what is not said, but maybe what is felt through white bodies, moving, swerving through this space, occupying space, blocking others from entering spaces. I think all of those sort of topics and realities have become much more pronounced because, we can say a lot of things through words, but I have this sense and experience that the body doesn't lie. It's incredibly inspiring how collaborative the building of this work is with the creative team.
I have an idea. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Do you mind if those who are willing, do a little dancing together? You don't have to move out of your seat. Can we maybe turn on the lights in the audience? We'll experience Gaga just for a brief moment together, if that's okay. Yeah? Yeah? You with me? All right. Okay. So as you're seated, sort of collapse. Allow your body to collapse down. Feel gravity, this vertical force bringing you down, sinking you in. Feel like heavy, weighted. And then, without using much effort or energy, allow your bones to lift in a direction that is not shaped by gravity. Feel that you carry your arms. You can move your arms a little bit up. You can move your arms a little bit to the side. Feel that all of your skeleton is sort of floating. And sense this floating quality connecting you to lightness in your joints, your ankles, your wrists, your hips. It feels a bit silly. It's good. And you can also feel in your face that you can lift and spread, like almost the beginning of a smile. Yeah? And even with listening to gravity, without canceling it because we can't, you can sense that we can negate gravity by carrying ourselves away from the direction of gravity. So you can sense in your body maybe similar sensation of like life is difficult and heavy. And as you sense that, still lift your face and float. Do you feel this? Yeah? Great. Nice. Thank you.
I feel released. Released. Then, the thing about theater, as some of you might know, you work with people very closely, and then you never see them again. The show opens, you have a week of previews or so, and then everybody goes off. The actors remain, but the creative team leaves and goes off to the next thing. So the next time I really experienced Shamel was seeing his work. And I want to use this period to talk about your creative process because, you know, there was our collaborative experience, which I found amazing, but I hadn't seen your independent work. I had just worked with you. And then I went to see Black Hole. And I was transported. I had never in my life seen anything like this. I had never felt the feelings I felt when I saw that work. Has anyone seen Black Hole? It was transformative, and it wasn't just me. Everybody, people were saying it in the, you know, in the seats, my husband, the people we went with, everyone had the same experience. And, but I know it doesn't just happen. So I wanted to ask you about your creative process. Like, how does that work for you?
Yeah. So I usually, when going to create a work, I have an idea, and from that idea sparks a concept. And immediately I start to imagine the environment and the collaborators. And once I start to suggest the collaborators to join the process, they are with me creating the work from day one. So a lot of times with dance, you know, the lighting designer, costume designer, set designer, they come in once the dance is done. But for me, all of these designers are not ornamental, they're actually essential to the work that we create together. So once we get into the studio on day one, I sort of developed this sort of like 6-step program of creative process. And the first step of the program is tuning. So we immediately sort of grab and listen to our bodies and start to tune this instrument to get it ready to move, to dance, to tap into the choreographic prompts that I give. And after tuning, the second is writing. From listening to my body and sensing what was tuned, I go and I start to write in my book different things that came up. And then with those things that came up, we go to the next step, 3, which is play. We come into the space, the designers, the dancers, and myself, and we start to play with different informations and ideas and prompts. And that play happens both physically, it happens with lighting, it happens with words, it happens with all of the different collaborators. That's 3, play. 4 is research resources. So usually when I come into a studio, I bring my stuff. And my stuff are books, are paintings, are videos, and all of these things sort of become part of the inspiration that informs the concept forward. So that's researching resources. The 5th thing is reviewing all of the things that we were working on that day, sort of grabbing them into a sense of framework. And I call it like a playground. So in the playground, there are different, you know, what do you call it? Different scenarios. Yeah, different. There, you know, there's a swing, there's the bars, and etc. So the reviewing then allows me to play with structure, and then after the structure, we record, which means we start to. That's when I really get into sensing the possibilities of what the work can be, and then I record it and go home and do homework and come in the next day to start it all over again.
But as a choreographer, you're doing all of that, but everybody is in the room from the get-go?
Yeah.
So are they also all doing all of that too?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
everybody's working with these steps as you go forward?
Exactly, yeah. And not everyone is dancing through these steps. You know, for example, I work with a video projection mapping artist named Luca Del Carlo, and he is a specialist in the technology of projection. So through these steps, his instrument is the lighting, is the projector. So his tuning comes through the energy of light. And then the steps that we go through that I just listed is realized through his instrument of projection.
I see. So then I saw the second piece, which is Touch of Red, and we're going to look at, is that the video we have? Yeah. Let's look at a little video before, well, I should tell you that I was approached by the Armory in New York to put together an event, and based on having conversations with people you don't normally have conversations with, that might in some way be difficult or disturbing or need negotiations. And so immediately I thought of inviting Shamel because your work is so grounded in partnerships, in collaboration, in having bodies be in conversation with each other. And so it was a lot of negotiation, but we got the Armory to trick out a space in a way. And maybe describe what you did with that production.
Yeah, so this production took place in what is called the Room of Officers at the Armory, which I don't know if any of you know Park Avenue Armory. It's an armory, so it's very militarized and imperialized or something. It's huge, ornate, intimidating spaces. So with Touch of Red, which is more about intimacy and closeness and touch, we reinvented or reconstructed the set in that room to create almost like a futuristic and voyeuristic boxing ring. So there was this contrast of this huge structure of building that was, overbearing to that, like a church makes you feel small or makes me feel small. We tried to bring a contemporary environment to this historical positioning of the space.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just to get everybody up to speed, the other things we did, we had Anna DeVere Smith in conversation with Homi Bhabha because she often has taken on voices of different people inside difficult situations. We also had a reading of James Baldwin in conversation with Audre Lorde, a very difficult conversation that happened near the end of his life. So you'll see snippets of those things along with Shamel and Tashriq.
Yeah. Tashriq Fredericks.
But we started with Touch of Red because I wanted the day to begin in the body. I wanted us to feel what the conversation, what it meant to hold another and negotiate another. And so for the first hour of the day, everyone participated by being in that space, and then we moved on to the other pieces. But here, it looks like it was back and forth, but it actually began the day.
But how do you speak about things that are deeply controversial, but deeply passionately held, and listen, have that moment of silence before coming back?
There is a larger structure, which is a society where we are in total and absolute war. We live in the mouth of a dragon, and we must be able to see each other's forces to fight it together, because we need each other.
Black life often entails finding beauty in the impossible and the possible in the unreal.
The door of no return is, of course, no place at all, but a metaphor for place. Ironically, or perhaps suitably, it is no one place, but a collection of places.
Life is the possibility that remains, a heart that will not stop loving, a glimpse of something beautiful even in the midst of grief and dying, propelling us forward.
So amazing that the question of voice, conversation, the acoustic, that's what has been the real star of the day, whether it's in performance or whether it's in reading. Sound always creates a present. It always creates a here and now.
So, at long last, I put one foot in the river. The water was very cold, but so far, that was all. When you've just stepped in, you don't know what's going to happen. The water laps round your ankles in any case.
So, Shamel, in working on Touch of Red, I wanted to talk about some of the preparation. You talked about the steps. So I read that you went into dance workshop to learn the Lindy?
Yeah, Lindy Hop.
The Lindy Hop. Do you all know what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, Lindy Hop is a dance, an African-American social dance that comes from swing dance. And it is a dance of partnership, a couple that sort of stays in proximity and touch with each other as they sort of move very quickly and lightly and virtuosically through swing movement. And I came to Lindy Hop through boxing, and stay with me for a moment. So with Touch of Red, how it started was I often, when at home, the television would be on and there'd be boxing on TV, and I sort of would always turn the TV off because I was not interested or couldn't understand the appeal and entertainment value of people watching two men, especially two men of color, get into a ring with each other and beat the crap out of each other. I was like, what is this? I'm not interested in it. It kind of hurt, the violence of it. But usually when I have disdain or opposition towards something, I try not to create a wall of separation, but maybe a bridge of connection. So when I would watch boxing, I would turn the TV on, I started to notice these moments between the boxers where, because of the violence, because of the match, because of the aggression, because of the duration and endurance of it all, they would completely exhaust themselves and sort of fall into embracing each other. And I thought, wow, that's so interesting that, you know, and maybe, you know, what moments in men, you know, the life of men, where they have this sort of vulnerability and softening and embrace with each other. So with Touch of Red, sort of was like, what would it be for two men of color to get into a ring with each other, and there is a match, but the match is not met out of aggression or violence or combat or even about winning or losing, but the match is through a curiosity in one's self in connection to the other, and that curiosity sparks intrigue and closeness and camaraderie and an electrifying, enhanced sort of effeminacy that softens and heals. So with all of that information in boxing, I also notice, like great boxers like Muhammad Ali, who says like, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. It was like, he's dancing, and the dance was a lot of fast, quick footwork with his partner, his opponent. And that quickness and partnership allowed me to come to Lindy Hop. So with Touch of Red, I sort of took the environment of boxing and the blackness of partnership through movement of Lindy Hop, along with Gaga, and created this work.
Did you actually, how did you, I thought I read that you actually studied his footwork, Muhammad Ali, but did you take it? Did you sort of put your feet where he put his feet, kind of thing?
Yeah, I did. He has like Muhammad Ali's footwork technique that I watched on YouTube over and over again. And Tashrik, the other performer, and I would study it, but not studying it to try to become it or appropriate it, but more grabbing the essence and quickness of that technique.
Can you do it with just sitting
in
there?
these shoes?
Well, I just, do it slowly.
Okay, so it's in 6 steps. I haven't done this in a while. I'm gonna get off the carpet. Can you still see me? Claudia is making me dance again, okay. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he uses this footwork technique to sort of dodge his opponent. When his opponent is throwing a blow towards him, he moves out of the way and comes back to his grounding.
And it's from that you got to Lindy.
Yeah, because Lindy Hop has a lot of this.
Oh. One of the things that I found delightful I spent some time listening to you being interviewed and talking, and you said, because you trained as a classical dancer at Juilliard, and Shamel said, well, I trained, and then I did night dancing, and I was like, what's night dancing? And I'm thinking, is this a thing, night dancing?
It's a thing.
But why don't you tell the audience what night dancing? Maybe you all know.
It's that thing. I grew up in a house where my mother threw a lot of parties, so there were always adults in my home gathered together and dancing. And the gathering it could be because of a funeral or a birthday. But I was always interested in, regardless of the event, this sense of coming together and dancing together at night and the power of that. So essentially, nightlife was always a part of my life as a way to connect to other people's lives and our bodies. So nightlife for me, most of it, a lot of times, people say it's about escapism. And for me, it felt more about connection to my body next to other bodies. And on the dance floor, when I go to a lot of clubs all over the world at night, I'm so inspired by the physicality of the dancers, the liberation that comes through movement. And this liberation also feels cathartic, like a release, a purging out in order to draw closer. And yeah, so I'll go out dancing a lot at night, and for me, it's almost like work. It's a part of how I then get to listen to different qualities and physicalities and possibilities of moving through the body that aren't just training classically like I was doing, which has a lot to do with form, you know. At night, I sense not only the form of people's bodies and my bodies, but the content and impulse inside of the form of the body, which then enlivens my experience of movement.
So nightclubbing.
Yeah.
How much of the time do you find yourself sort of just watching in order to sort of see what new movements are happening?
Yeah, I witness a lot, and not so much through watching the sense of sight, but also this sense of proximity, closeness, the heat between my body and other people's bodies. I kind of like see, I love at night this sense of aloneness, as well as the gathering in close proximity to each other, right? Because if you've been out dancing at night or otherwise, it's close, you know, you're very close to each other. So even without looking directly, but having a sense of periphery of view, I see this person doing a dance over there, and sometimes without looking, I try to connect to their essence of movement, or try to also at times send my movement research to them, and it works. You know, we start speaking and communicating with our bodies in a very nonverbal way.
And that sort of goes back to Gaga. I like the idea that it doesn't use mirrors in Gaga, so
That's
that
right.
you're not making your body get closer to some idealized movement. You're actually finding it within.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, in Gaga, we say a lot that we are each other's mirrors. So me as a teacher, I speak and move throughout the entire time that I'm teaching and dancing with others in Gaga class. And I first listen to my research through my body and what I'm discovering, and then I share that information with others, and then I immediately start to become curious about how their bodies receive the information, and then I respond to that. So it becomes really this sort of like cipher of mirroring each other as I first sort of examine myself. So this connection between facing and examining oneself that leads towards the consideration of others, and then as you consider others, they then get to consider some other than themselves, if that makes language sense.
And this is my final comment/question/comment, is that certainly with help, even more so than Black Hole, there was a real sense that as dancers, you were sort of inside each other, responding to each other, but then you were also in us. And I can tell you, we did one performance with a high school, and the boys could not watch. They put their hoodies over their faces, they covered their eyes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Because the closeness was too close. They couldn't hold it. And at first I thought, well, it's because they're high schoolers and they, it feels homoerotic or it feels too physical for them. But then the next day, it was an audience of adults, and a person passed out. And I'm sitting in the row. I don't think you knew this was going on. And all I hear is, stay with us, stay with us. And it's dark, and it turns out it was just too much for her. which I understood because my own body, I found myself, my heart was beating fast. I was, you're just carried. So the closeness, I guess my question is, in collaboration with your collaborator on stage, are you also thinking about us?
Yeah, whenever I create a work, I'm always considering the relationship between the audience and the performance. And this relationship to me is one of conversation and dialogue and participation, even if I'm not asking the audience to move in their seats. But how does an audience show up to a performance as a witness, but also as a crucial part of the conversation? And that agreement that we have together is already one where we are rendered in close proximity and visibility to each other. And that is a brave act. Like, I really think that it's brave to show up to live art. And that bravery also for me sort of sparks my curiosity and the power of vulnerability. So yeah, in this work, Touch of Red, which is between two men, I'm really trying to create a complex, multi-layered sharing towards male intimacy. And sometimes that can be labeled as a sexual orientation thing. So I think the boys were kind of, the students were kind of thinking, yeah, that this is homoerotic and that means gay. Right. And I'm like, not only, not only because with Tashrik, our closeness and partnership and relationship is one of friendship, right? And how with my friend, I can say, you are so beautiful, and you are so sexy, and you are also my brother, and you're also my teacher and a student, and you're also someone who I can let go into. And I think that softening, for me, that really I experience mostly with women, this power of effeminacy and softness that actually creates more room for this maleness or male identity. Like we encompass, or I feel I encompass more than just a hard edge or this need to only be a body that is weaponized. I get more interested in effeminacy because it allows me to embody my multiplicity.
Well, thank you for your generosity, your vulnerability, your genius. And thank you all for coming and sharing this time with us. And thanks to the Chicago Festival and to Michael and everyone involved in having us here. Have a good day, stay safe, go vote. I'm depending on you.